Hey, everyone. Let me go ahead and put our fillers up. Welcome to First Fridays. Can you guys believe we are in a whole nother month? We are in the month of October. I am excited to be here to just share a little bit more about P.O.U.R, the live worship experience. Now, if we have not met, my name is Keandra Ward. I'm the founder of the KWI Collective. We are a marketing, public relations, and media firm based right here out of Tampa, Florida. And we're excited to start adding business funding and business credit to our repertoire of services. So let me just give you guys a backdrop. If you know me, my faith is extremely important to me, and it is something that I rely on for every area and aspect of my life, including my business. And several years ago, God said, listen, I want you to curate a live worship experience designed for entrepreneurs. There's no teaching, there's no training. It's an opportunity for entrepreneurs, like-minded entrepreneurs, to come together and just to worship. And if you are like me, I put it off for a long time. I was like, I don't know about that. I've never seen it. I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that, God? I don't know. And it got to a place where he just kept getting at me until I said, all right, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it. And so I said, God, what would I call this? And in the midst of me praying one day, he said P.O.U.R. And I had the word P.O.U.R for a long time, but I did not have an acronym for P.O.U.R until almost 3 or 4 months before the event. I was like, you got to give me something, because people are asking me and I'm just like, pouring from an empty cup. I don't know. I ain't got it. But we ended up in prayer and me just kind of working through it. It's presenting our unseen realities. So the goal of P.O.U.R is to bring your plans for the year before the Lord. These are your unseen realities. These are things that you have incorporated or that you're planning, but you have not seen them come to fruition as of yet. And so that's what that is for. That's what P.O.U.R is for. Presenting our unseen realities is what the acronym stands for. And it's just an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come together to worship. We come together, we plan, we have brunches, we come together to teach each other, we come together to learn. Sometimes we come together to just kick it, but it's very rare that we come together just to worship. I mean, we are stripping out. I don't care if you're an entrepreneur that makes $10 billion or you're just starting out. I don't care if you're a high influencer. We're stripping all of that. The one thing that I tell people is, people ask me who's going to, it was funny. People were asking me who's going to be there. Jesus. Okay. God going to be there. All right. That was my answer. When you see the promotions for these flyers, you'll see, you may see images of people, but there won't be any names. There won't be any starring here, because the star is God and Jesus. And we are here to worship him and bring our plans for the year before him. Now, if you've done what you're supposed to do, you would have spent time with him prior to getting there to get your plans together, because your entry fee for this experience are your business plans for the year. We don't keep them. We don't harbor them. We don't take them. It's just to show up, for you to show that you at least did the work to get in the building. Okay. And so that's what I want. I want people to really understand that this is not an opportunity for us to showcase who we are and what we do. It is really to bring our hearts and minds before the Lord and our plans, and to give them back to him. It's our way of, literally just bringing our works to the altar, giving it back to him, and asking him, is this it? And if not, give me, what do I do with this for the year? And so, we had a scripture last year, and for this year, I kept saying, all right, God, do I have to think of a scripture again this year? Can we just roll what we did last year? How does that go? And the scripture, Amos 13, actually it's 13 through 15 came up. And it was crazy because when the scripture came to me, I went online and a friend of mine posted the same scripture. So then that gave me my first level of confirmation. Then 2 days later, somebody else sent it to me. Now, this person isn't even on social media. They sent it to me and said, I saw this scripture and I thought of you and God just told me to send it to you. And I'm like, okay, so that's the third. That was the third confirmation. And so with Amos 19, it says, yes, indeed, it won't be long, God's decree. Things are going to happen so fast that your head will swim. One thing fast on the heels of another. You won't be able to keep up. Everything will happen at once. And everywhere you look, blessings. And that's from the Message version. And it just really was one of those things where God was showing me that sometimes we work, and we're like, nothing is happening. And all of a sudden, the floodgates open. And so that's what God is showing me, that the more you give it to him, the more you work, the more you prepare, he is going to be ready. There will be a point where it won't be long. It's going to happen so fast that your head will swim. And so that's why you need to be prepared. One of the things I say from one of my mentors, he always says, don't get ready, be ready. And that's literally what this means to me. Don't get ready, be ready. But in these sessions, I also wanted to invite people who were at the experience and to talk about the experience from their point of view. In addition to talking about their experiences, I also want them to just share a little bit of their expertise or anything that they have on their hearts to you guys based off of who they are, what they do in their knowledge base. Because why? Listen, there are some dynamic people in this world who are doing some amazing things. And most of the time, we are not aware. And so I don't want people to just come on these lives and just talk about their experience. I want you to experience them. First Fridays and P.O.U.R, the live worship experience, the entire thing is an experience. So I'm excited to introduce our first guest today. Now, here's how this flow is going to go, you guys. My guests are going to come up. We're going to share a little bit about who they are, what they do, and their experience. And then I'm going to leave it to them. I'm going to give them a couple minutes to show their genius because, listen, I have learned so much from our guest today that I probably have 11 notebooks full of content that I probably need to go back and resurrect and probably use some of the things from these amazing women. And I want people to understand that there are women that are doing amazing things on this earth who love God and who move according to his purpose within their business. That doesn't mean they're praying down the heavens in each session. But what I will say is that I know for a fact that they seek him in all the things that they do. And I think that's important. So I want to first introduce the purpose coach, Miss Clestine Herbert. I'm excited to have you on. Hey. Let me make sure you're mute. I think you're still muted. Let's get you off.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm excited to have you on. I do want to first give honor and tell you thank you. Most of the things I do, you support. Like, you're pretty much there. And I want to thank you for that because I think that it's important for us to see that we support each other. Mm-hmm. And that, I honor and respect the grace that God has placed over you in the field that you're in and the work that you do. And I just want to go ahead and give you your kudos now because at this point in life, who's waiting? Okay. I'm telling everybody that I love and I like. I love you and I like you right now.
I understand.
So I just want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for your continuing to show up. One of the things that I probably have never said to you is that no matter what, I know you coming online and you showing up and your consistency helps me. Okay. I be like, dang, let me go ahead and get back online.
So listen, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes to get me up sometimes, but that's what we do, right? That's what we do.
But you are up, okay? That's the key. So I want to talk about, can you give them just a little tidbit of who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
All right. So I'm known as Clestine, the purpose coach. And I have the privilege of working with God's daughters to help them identify what their purpose is and then develop the courage or activate the courage so that they can live it boldly and consistently. And I've been doing it for 20 plus years. I'm an international speaker, author, and I have a proprietary program called the Sold Out Method, SOULED, Sold Out Method, that really helps you do a deep dive and get clarity on what you're supposed to be doing, who your audience is, and then develop the mindset. Because one of the things I've had to learn, and I teach my clients, is that it takes a renewed mind to fulfill the call that God has on your life. If your mind is not renewed, you're always going to have excuses, always going to have a reason why you can't do something, always going to feel stuck. And until we all get that, we're always going to be looking at other people saying, oh, wow, I wish I could do what she's doing. When God has an amazing plan for each and every one of us, nobody else is more special than you are to Him. So I just want everybody to know that.
Amen. I love it. And I think that we forget that
Mm-hmm.
he is no respecter of person. When we're
Right.
looking at our day to day, we're like, and we're looking at other people and we're doing all these things. We got to remember that just as he's done for others, he is willing and want to do for us. We just have to
Mhm.
find where that disconnect is between us and him.
That's
So
right.
I get that because that's something I was working on.
Exactly.
Okay, let's not play. So
Exactly.
I want to ask you, I know you saw the information for P.O.U.R. What made you say, hey, I'm gonna engage. I wanna go.
One, because you were doing it. Because you were doing it. And I was like, oh, wait a minute now. And the other thing was because it was for entrepreneurs. And, we have a different language. We have a different language. And I know sometimes when you go to church, depending on who your pastor is or your church family is, sometimes you might feel you love them, they love you, but sometimes you might feel a disconnect or you feel out of place because you go to church and you feel you can talk about Jesus, but you can't talk about your business. You go to a networking event, you feel you could talk about your business, but you can't talk about Jesus unless it's a Christian networking thing. So it was like, oh, there's a space where there's going to be worshiping God for entrepreneurs. I think I want to be there. So that's why I wanted to jump on board with that.
I love that. And I thank you for your yes. For me, it was interesting because I was like, wait, first of all, it's complimentary, right? So people sign up for complimentary stuff all the time. And I'm like, I wonder if people are going to come. Oh my goodness. But then
Hmm.
it was more of whoever's supposed to be in the building will be in the building. And
Right.
that's kind of how I had to refocus and reframe my mind. So let's talk about your experience. What you shared something with me that I think was extremely monumental. And I kind of want you to reshare that. But let's talk about your experience. What was your experience and what did you take from it?
Well, first of all, I love the praise and worship. I sing as well. I sing in a group and a praise team. So
Okay.
it was the praise team was off the chain. Um, so I really loved that, and I loved the word that was brought, and I love that you gave us a um, pause moment. I'll call it, to really connect with God. So my pause moment did not go the way that I wanted it to go. I didn't hear anything. I wasn't feeling anything. And I was like, what's going on? And it wasn't until afterwards and until I really understood the acronym behind P.O.U.R, right? Which um, is it presenting our
Unseen realities.
unseen realities. So for me, that I had a block. So what it did for me is it helped me to see that I had a block.
Mm,
Right? So everybody's going to have different experiences. Some people are going to hear something from God. There were people in the room hearing stuff from God, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I want to hear something from you because I was, I was in a struggle season, right?
um,
But I had a block. So what it did is it highlighted that I had a block, and it was a mental block. And
mhm.
so I had to go through a mental cleansing. So what Pour does is it's there to help you acknowledge and see the things that maybe you weren't seeing before. So it puts you in a position to make that possible, because sometimes we're not going to do it on our own. We keep going, doing, and we need a place where we can pause, get before God, with intention, with
Mm.
intention.
That was very hot. That really highlighted something to me, to really realize that you were there to receive, but there was a block that didn't let you get past a certain point. But here's what I love about that: you didn't let that stop you. What you did is figured out why, the why behind it, and not
Mhm.
saying, "Well, I didn't get it, so okay." You went and you've done, over the last several months, you've done the work to really figure that out.
Mhm.
So I'm excited
Mhm.
about that. Let's
Right.
let's kind of go into that, because I want you to talk about a little bit about what you've done to kind of overcome that. And then I'm going to give you a space and time to just share with the community whatever is on your heart, okay?
Okay. All right. So, one of the things that I do is, as I mentioned, in order for you to find your purpose and to live it, you have to have a renewed mind. And so, one of the things I do is to help God's daughters find their purpose, but then also, um, renew their minds, right? Change the way they're thinking, how we are talking to ourselves. Because
Mhm.
some of us, we don't talk to ourselves well, and we laugh behind it and think, oh, it's just we're being lighthearted. But your brain doesn't know the difference. Your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination, or, oh, I'm just kind of laughing this off. Your brain doesn't know, so it stores that, right? And it keeps storing it. And so your most dominant thought is what your brain looks for, or your subconscious looks for, in order to support you to move forward or to do whatever God's called you to do. So, if your most dominant belief or thought is a limiting belief because you've been saying things and it keeps storing it, right? Piling it up. So now you've got this belief that you've developed over time that does not serve you, but your
Mhm.
subconscious is going to be supporting you in that belief. And that's why so many of us feel stuck, or feel overwhelmed, or feel like we can't go on. So one of the things, once I realized there was a block, what I did was I started to do my own mindset work that I do with my clients, and working that out on my own, over time. But then I got to a certain space where I knew that I needed someone outside of me to just to help me to get past that next level block. So I reached out to my coach, and she was doing a short program, and she did something called a mindset cleanse. And basically, your mindset cleanse is where you take a look at what your negative thoughts are for your goal or something you're focused on. And then you do some journaling, do some assessments. You really be your own detective, right? We're detectives and curious for other people's lives, but sometimes we're not curious for our own lives. And be curious about, why are you thinking that? How is it impacting um, other areas of your life? Why did you make it mean that? Ask yourself questions and then journal the answers. There is a power behind when you write something versus when we type something. There's a connection that happens that does not happen when we type. And so doing that journaling, it's like tilling soil. It starts to uproot all of those things, and it's like you go through a mental detox. So for me, over the last few days, it's like somebody has injected me with caffeine. I'm so energized because I've gone through this mental detox, this mental cleansing.
Wow. Here's the thing that I think what intrigued me about it is, one, there are ways for us to do things, but we don't always engage because we don't even want to show ourselves that we have an issue. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so for you to identify that, but not try to do it on your own. You realize that you needed some outside source and assistance with this. Then you went to someone who could help you with that. And now you're helping others. I love it. I love it. And then the fact that it gets you to a place of identification. You have to really identify and journal and write it out. And I believe that too. You know, when I that's why I don't have it here, but I still have a paper calendar, even though I have all these digital calendars. I still got to write it down. You know,
Yeah,
I
me
still have
too.
to do those things because there is some type of I do believe that there's a mental connection to that.
There
And
is.
so I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I love that. And I have your website here because I want people to be able to engage with you and your social media, because if they're interested in it, I want them to be able to reach out to you to ask more questions about how to begin that journey on their own, and even with someone, because it's important to know that there are resources to help you get past these blocks, right?
Right.
So that
Right.
when you get into atmospheres, whether it's a personal one-on-one atmosphere with you and the Lord, or you're in a corporate setting, you can leave there and get what you need because you've done the work for you. Clestine, one, I commend you. I honor you. I am so excited for you. I cannot wait to see
Thank you.
what happens for you post this, because that's amazing to be
Thank
able to say, listen, I got a whole issue going on over here and we need to figure it out, you know?
you.
And I
Right.
think that's amazing. So
Thank you.
as we kind of wrap up, because I know that you're a busy woman and have next things to do, and I want you to be able to be ready for those. What information I want you to leave, a remark for the people that are watching this, um, in regards to anything, how you're feeling, what God is telling you, mindset, pour, whatever it is. I want you to pour your heart out and share with the community.
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Vision Coach Kim. She's my mindset coach, Christian woman, uses biblical principles. So if you, go on Facebook and type in Vision Coach Kim, you'll catch some of her stuff. She's amazing. She's amazing. So I thank God for her. But my slogan is for my business is you can't afford to be like everybody else. And I first caught that when I went to a Joyce Meyer event. I was working for a nonprofit. I was in transition. I was still in transition as to trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. And I was up in the nosebleed section, and the woman who was speaking, she turned and looked up and pointed. I know she wasn't pointing to me. She didn't even know I was up there. She don't know me, but it was almost like she was speaking to me. And when she said, "You can't afford to be like everybody else," it's like something happened in my spirit and stirred stuff up, and I just started bawling. I had to leave. I had to leave, but it was like God just sat that there for like a whole day. I could barely do my work at work. But that has been my slogan for my business. You can't afford to be like everybody else, because too many of us, it's good to be influenced by others, right? It's good to be influenced by others. But too many of us are trying to be like others instead of allowing others to inspire us, right? And so you can't afford to be like everybody else was for me, because I was that person that was a people pleaser that wanted to be like other people, not understanding that God had a unique calling for me, just like he does for everybody else, just like he did for those people that I was trying to be like. So whoever's watching who thinks that you're looking at other people and saying you're not as great as them, they're not as great as you in the gifting and your personality and your story, because we're experts in our own story. So I want to just encourage someone with that God has greatness and he has a great plan for you. And he gave you the right personality. He gave you the right gifts, the right experience for what he wants you to do for him.
Ooh, you cannot afford to be like everyone else. That spoke to me, especially because my goal is always to try not to be like everybody else. I fight so hard. Ooh, Lord, I'd be like, I don't want to be like nobody out here. But I love that, because there's so many people who lose their identity in business.
Yeah.
Whole topic, who lose their identity in business because
Mm-hmm.
they're looking at everyone else. And I love it.
Right.
And I love that that is a part of your call and your mission to let people know that you can't even afford to do that because you're losing time, you're losing you money. I mean, let's be real, you
Ooh,
know,
I like how you say that. Yes.
yeah, you're losing all of those things. So oh, that was good. Now we have to come back on and have a whole new conversation about this. Listen, and so I want to transition and bring up another amazing woman before we officially close you out, because essentially I believe that this is how we met through her. I meet probably everybody through
Because Cheryl. Uh-huh.
yes, I meet everybody there. And I want us all just to be able to commune for a moment before we release you with to the rest of your day. But I want to thank you. I definitely want to
Thank
thank you
you.
for your pour today. I want to thank you for believing in me enough to come, because being in those type of atmospheres, you have to even protect your spirit. So I appreciate you believing enough in me to say I want to at least attend. I don't even know what this is all about, but
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that, and I do honor that, and I respect that. And
Mm,
so as we
thank you.
bring up this amazing woman, I'm gonna let her formally introduce her, but I'm gonna introduce her my way, okay? So, um, years ago, if you know me, I was a hairstylist, and Miss Cheryl Pullins was one of my clients. And one day, like every time she came in, she had a notebook, right? So she'd be getting her hair done, and we talk a little bit, and she was always like this. So I mean vigorously, like the whole time. So one day I was like, "Ma'am, what you writing in them notebooks? Like I need to understand what's going on, because whatever it is, I need to be a part of it." And that was her explaining her transition from corporate into doing what she's doing now and being amazing at it. And I was like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
let me go ahead and sign up. I'll be your first client. Like, what we doing?" And so from then to now, I watch, I follow, I listen. I probably was one of her worst clients in the beginning. I probably was like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this. But then I started listening, and look at where we are now. But I want to introduce to you guys Miss Cheryl Pullins. Hey,
Hey, Cheryl.
let me take you off of mute. Make sure you're off of mute.
Here. Hey, everybody.
Welcome. So I just wanted us all to commune very quickly together, because I know that we it's not often that we all get together. And it's also not often that we've all been able to be in spaces together when as it relates to being spiritual continents as well either. Although we're very aware, like I know none of y'all play about God like I do. I know I don't have to worry about that part, but for us to be in that space together. And I wanted to formally, again, just like I did with Clestine and Cheryl, thank you guys. I thank you for believing in me enough to say, let me show up and see what this is about. Even not really understanding, but trusting me enough and trusting the God in me enough to know that I'm not going to put you in the midst of some foolishness, because y'all know I don't like no foolishness, but also to be open to hear from God for yourself. So I didn't want to transition without us all being able to just commune for a quick second before we release Miss Clestine and let her go about. I know she probably got a line of clients, and we I'm what, number 4 of the day. Let me go ahead and let her go. So I appreciate that. But Miss Cheryl, um, the one thing I want to ask you is, you have been big on building community, because that's how I've met Clestine. That's how I've met other people. Why is that important to you?
Wow. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me this question. Wow, why is community important to me? But I can tell you why community is important to me. So I always say in my former life, I was a pastor's wife for 14 years. And it is you think entrepreneurship is lonely. Being a pastor's wife, it's a very, very lonely, isolating reality. And all of those years, you're in all of these settings, you're with all these people, but you don't know nobody, even though you see them all the time. And when I went through separation, a very, very, very public, bitter divorce and custody and all of that, I had no community. everybody that I was connected to, everybody I was connected to in that role, I was no longer in that role. I didn't have anybody to go to. And I think that left such a mark on my heart to ensure that when we're out doing whatever we're doing and we're going on our long journey, that we're not by ourselves, that we have sacred places and spaces that we can go to where we feel safe, where we feel seen, where we feel heard, and we can literally share our hearts, as broken as they might be able to share our hearts and going on in our lives, no fear of judgment, fear of this person telling person or none of that. And that's where that's my desire and drive community comes from.
Oh, I love that. And I have a whole, I probably have a whole story behind that, as well as, the release of that and feeling lonely. So I just want to formally just thank you for the communities that you've built, because I've met some amazing entrepreneurs along the way who I am, highly connected to. And so, Miss Clestine, I want to thank you for being a part of that community.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you just for all that you do, and just for saying yes to this again. And I know that it's always going to be a work in progress, but the more you continue to do the work, you inspire and encourage us to do the work. And I thank you.
Thank you so much. And, thank you for inviting me. I've been watching you for years, and I'm just amazed at all of the things that you do, and your reach is so far. And so I just want to give kudos to you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And we love you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Bye-bye.
So, listen, I had to pause as we were talking, Miss Cheryl, because, the transition from working, being my mom's caregiver, being active in church, and then not having that space anymore, and not having that community of support, I could resonate with that so well. Mm-hmm. And now I went the opposite way. I was like, I don't need nobody. Versus being like, where are all the people? I was so, and so I really think that's important. But before we dig a little bit deeper into P.O.U.R, I want to pause and give you an opportunity to I know who you are, so I can go right into talking, but I want everybody to learn more about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah. So I call myself recently I started calling myself the icon activator, because I've been talking about this idea that we all are iconic, talking about it for a decade, so it's not a fad. It's real, because I believe that we're iconic by design, and being iconic is about being more of who you were created to be. So with said, I help multi-gifted women. A lot of multi-gifted women are overlooked or seen as all over the place. And I made a decision some years ago to say no to who they are. So why not show them how to brand themselves based on that? So I help gifted women build themselves, brand them, and monetize their gift.
Oh, I love that. And I will tell people, what you see from me started here. Like, I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I want to do it. Tell me what to do, ma'am. Okay, follow that. And like I told you guys before, at first I was like, she was like, go live and do this. And I was like, no.
She's telling the truth. She was like, nope.
I'm good. And so just like, it was interesting curating P.O.U.R. It was something that I knew I was supposed to do, but I was afraid to do it because it was something different. And I also was very adamant of, there were certain people I wanted to be in the room, and I wanted to be like, hey, want you to come. But I also wanted to give people just the opportunity to want to be there. So I, again, thank you for coming, not even knowing all of the details, but seeing it. And so I want to ask you, from your perspective, outside of knowing me, what made you say, like, all right, I'm gonna show up?
Well, what I loved about the idea of P.O.U.R was that it was specific for entrepreneurs. It was specifically for entrepreneurs coming to a space to be able to worship, to focus on worship. That's
it.
and that is rare. I don't even, and I can't even think another time that I've actually seen that. I know that there, the big people have their conferences and stuff like that, but just specifically for worship, to be able to come in and not have to worry about, you gotta do whatever it is you gotta do, but just to come and be able to sit for that 90 minutes or however long it was. And it wasn't really long and drawn out either. And the praise worship was fire. Fire. It was just so well done. And so just first of all, you were like, okay, did they put this date on your account? That's all you told me. That's all you told me. And I'm like, it's Kiana. I mean, that whatever. Yeah, whatever she's doing there. And but other part of that was the fact that it was an opportunity to space and to be able to lay my heart myself before God, probably in a way that I hadn't done in a very long time.
And that's what I wanted. Like I was explaining, I thank you for that, because I was telling people that I don't want you to come to see who's there. It doesn't matter who's there. I want you to, God is there, Jesus is there, the angels is there, they're there. That's who we want, and I want you to really focus on why and the purpose of us being there. So let's talk a little bit about your experience. What was like one of your key takeaways? Like, what did you take away from the experience after you got into your car or got home and really just kind of took in everything?
Well, the overall experience was just, I mean, it was I was filled to the brim. But what I liked, this might sound a little odd, but I liked that it wasn't a stadium of 10,000 people.
Yes.
I loved the intimacy of it. And maybe I'm just partial to that. I'm partial to be in a space where we all can reach out and touch one another and be in real communion with each other.
Right.
So I did like that. It was the size. It was like it was like it felt like a nice warm hug. But also, what really I think I've carried. This is probably going to sound funny. Maybe, I don't know. I carried Latanya.
She just, yes, and I have to have her on. She was just I don't know what you say. She's an apostle now. So I don't know what's the term.
Elevated.
That's it. Elevated. So yes, Prophetess Latanya Smith or Apostle Latanya Smith.
Well, she came to me afterwards, or we were talking afterwards, and I will never forget this. She held on to my arm and she walked to me and she reminded me. Okay, hold on. She reminded me of who I was.
Yes. Yeah.
The reason I started off saying that I liked that was the type of space it was in is because it's in those spaces that you get to have those kinds of moments.
Yeah.
It's not a whole bunch of people clamoring. It's not a whole. I got to have a moment that I will remember forever because she took time to remind me of who I was. Because I can promise you, I've forgotten.
Jesus.
I've forgotten.
And I think,
I've forgotten that I was a community builder. I've forgotten, all the different women that you see in the forefront came through my doors. I forgot that I've serving women for a very, very long time. I forgot. And if nothing else happened, and of course a few other things happened, if nothing else happened, her reminding me of who I was, that was a moment that will stay with me forever.
amen. I'm
Because
so
I sure forgot God.
and I don't even understand why. I don't get it. But that ain't me. That I what you mean? But I love that. I love that the intimate space. And it was funny because as we were sitting, Prophetess Latanya looked over to me. She was like, "Is that Kurt Sarah?" I said, "That's her." She said, "Okay." She had, she was like, "That's her, right?" And I said, "That's her."
Right, right.
You gotta. I think sometimes we do forget, even the fact of how other people view us.
Yes.
Because what we know is the rough part of us. We know the mindset part that goes through those oppositions of disbelief. We know the times where we produced something and it didn't go right, or we produced something that did and it went right, and we know all the nitty gritty. So we see ourselves differently than other people see us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for us to even that's something that I've had to accept. It's hard for me to accept the praise, or the congratulations. Some people, "Oh, you're out here, you're doing it," and I'm like, "I'm all right." It's like,
but yes.
It's like, but I'm happy that that's what you got from it, because I think it's important for you to know who you are and who you are to others, and the amount of support that you've given to others, and the amount of breakthroughs and doors that you've opened for others. People need, you need to be reminded, and not to be in a haughty space, but to
right.
It helps you to know that there's power in your purpose. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's the best way to put it. And that, I can honestly say, without you, there wouldn't be a me in this space where I am, because I wouldn't have went live had you not told me to go live. And then then told me, I need you to be submissive. Okay. I need you to chill out for a minute and listen. And I was like, okay. And I just got to a place where if you said do it, I was doing it, and I'm good. I'm happy that you were able to get into a safe space too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we can't be as open and transparent, because the spaces, they're nice spaces, they're good spaces, and it may be a safe space for other people, but for you, it being a safe space, I appreciate that.
It was. I mean, honestly, when I think about it, like, had I not been there, had I been in that room, I would have had the moment where I could remind myself who it was. So it was very purposeful. P.O.U.R. was very purposeful in that way for me. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I thank you once again. Always, I thank you for your yes. And I thank you for just entrusting that part of you to me and my experience and my team, because you could have been like, "All right, baby, I support you," but your support of being there, and I mean, us not only being there on time, experiencing all of the things,
Yeah.
And me, I wanted to make sure that you knew that you were a valuable person. I'm like, I need you to sit right here. Like,
yes. That was a beautiful size.
I wanted you to know the importance, because in all actuality, if we think about it, the residual of this is birthed off of you saying yes to me. You know what I'm saying? And I always want to honor that, and I thank you. And so, as we begin to close out, I want to give you some space and time to talk to the community of people that will be watching this. I want you to just share from your heart, share from your experience, whatever God has given you and laid on your heart to share. I want to give you an opportunity to do that.
You got me during a time where I'm really leaning into this idea, or I guess it's idea. I'm not sure what the word as I'm looking for, about us as women entrepreneurs, in particular, women leaders, women coaches, consultants, and speakers and authors, however you identify in terms of the entrepreneurial space, really leaning into getting real and honest with our belief in ourselves. Our lack of self-belief has become such a hindrance to our ability to walk in the power that God's given on us. I mean, we shrink back. We play so small. We compare so much. We look and go, well, she's having her thing, she's doing her thing, and she got 10,000 people, 20,000 people, and she's selling out this, and she's doing that and that. But what does that have to do with you? That has nothing to do with you and who you've been called to do and who you've been called to be in the world. And this is a road that I've been walking all year long since P.O.U.R. That moment that I shared with you, that happened with Apostle, that I've been carrying that all year and reintroducing myself to myself, reintroducing who I am and the power that's in me, and who I've been called to be. Yes, I have made a significant impact in terms of people knowing me as a brand strategist and doing brand stuff like that. And because of that, and because of my journey, I know women are walking here clapping paint on the front, the dilapidated building, as my mom say. Really have to remove facade from yourself first. Take off the mask, yourself first, and really start to ask yourself the questions about whether or not you even believe what you're talking about. Whether or not you even believe all the things that you're saying, that you're sharing with others, are you believing it for yourself? Or are you saying one thing out front, but you had a whole other conversation in your head with yourself about yourself? So if I could leave anything with you to really do and think about, I would leave and say, or I would leave with you, that you really have to do some exploring about your self-belief. About your self-belief. You have to ask yourself questions. I love what Clestine talked about, journaling, writing in, and that whole writing and pen to paper, she's spot on with that, because there's something that happens spiritually. You do that. The word says write the vision plan. He didn't say type it in, pictures. He said write the vision. Okay? So, but part of that process of exploring your own self beliefs about who you are and about where some of those beliefs come from. A lot of beliefs were instilled in us when we were young. Things that people told us we could do, that we couldn't do, that we could be, that couldn't be. All of that, we carry all of those things with us. And then as an adult, we step into these spaces, and we are a mere fraction of who we were really created to be. And that because a lot of our own belief in ourselves has been diminished. And we know how to get it back.
Woo. Okay. Now, where I'm supposed to go with oh my gosh. And uh, we do have to, and like I was saying, that this space have us lose our identity
Hmm?
easily. And I think that there are so many entrepreneurs who are in that space, whether they want to admit it or not,
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
they're redefining or re-identifying or
Hmm.
remembering who they are. And so
Hmm.
I thank you for your honesty and transparency there, because it means the world for others to see that those that we look up to and those that we follow, they go through the
Hmm.
same things
Yes.
we go through.
Yes.
And they're doing the work to put themselves in the spaces and places to move to that next, so that they can get
Hmm.
into the next dispensation for their lives,
Yeah.
and I believe that I've been telling people that we have to look at it, that we are to go from glory to glory. If we're not
Mhm.
going from glory to glory, it's there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, it is.
And our
Hmm.
each person's glory level is different, right? So my level of glory to your level of glory is different, and so we need to look at that. And so I appreciate your um authenticity. I love the fact that in doing that, you clearly identified who you are and who you serve and why you serve them now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold on, wait, what?
Like
And I
this.
had to make now. I've had to make a couple tweaks because I feel like I've full circle because I started as a life coach actually, and I said I wasn't doing that until I navigated, and now I've full circle because I'm back to life coaching and really exploring this concept around self belief as it relates to something I call the icon factor. And the I in icon is identity.
Mm. And it brings you back. But here's the thing that I have to identify is, had you not gone to that circle, you wouldn't be able to serve like you're serving now.
Mm-hmm.
Had that circle had
Correct.
not happened, the
Correct.
way you serve and the level of glory that you serve on now, you wouldn't have been able to do it in the at the level of that you're doing it now. So even though may have been a little tussling, because there was a couple times I was like, man, what we doing? And then you were like, Keandra, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. But even
Love
so,
that I love that we can do that. I mean, that I have that there are people in my life that I can do that. Like I can bear it all, and not feel judged and not feel, like it's like you're gonna go run tell and be like, child, sure she ain't got it all together over there. She and you, Clestine, you guys, actually both of you, Clestine and I, for 2 years, every Monday morning we met for peer mastermind and accountability,
I remember
and
that.
having somebody that you can do that with. Now we just do it whenever we need to. But all of that is so helpful on this journey. Because you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it alone. And when you're feeling stuck or feeling your low moments, it's beautiful to have somebody to reach out to and say, listen, I just need you to pray for me because sister is like tripping.
And I mean, like, seriously, I be tripping though, y'all. I be tripping. Like, I'm done. I'm not doing any of this anymore. I'm not.
Listen,
I quit today,
listen,
tomorrow, and yesterday.
listen. I told I think it was Close, and I told this to about 2 weeks ago. I said, listen, girl, be 62 years old on there. I think I'm just gonna collect my Social security and call it a day today.
It sounds real good, don't it? It sounds good.
Until reality, and who the heck want to do that?
It sounds good until you really think about it. Yeah.
I'll
So
be what?
I tell people all the time, but I'm glad that I think for a lot of people we have entered into the space of really knowing where we are called to serve, and that's where I've been at in my space. I found my space, and I'm moving in my space, and I'm not. This is my space, okay? And I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about that for so many people because it allows us to drive consistency and just so many things within us, internally and externally. So as we close out, first, again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your yes, always your yes. I want to thank you for the pour that you have given. And I pray that your cup continues to be refilled, so that you can continue to pour out in your overflow. And I've been telling people that my goal is to pour from my overflow and not my main cup. My main cup is going to be filled. Everything else, y'all getting that good overflow, And
so, yeah. My mom used to drink coffee in the morning, and she would pour enough in it that it would overflow into the saucer, and she would drink from the saucer first.
Get that overflow. Drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And if you think about it, I used to do that. I used to take the little saucer, and I did. Yep. And so I'm excited, and I want to just remind everybody. I'm actually going to give a great announcement right here with Miss Cheryl. I haven't even told her, and so we're gonna have to see her reaction. She's gonna be like, "Oh, this girl." So I want you guys to save the date 1/3/25. That is for the live worship experience. But I want you to save 2 dates, 1/3 and 1/4/25. So I am excited to officially announce that not only will we have Pour the live worship experience on that Friday night, but we will be having a 2-day intensive on Friday and Saturday. And the intensive is called Is Your Brand Ready for the Media? So it'll be a 2-day media intensive to help you prepare and build your brand authority through the media and understanding what that looks like. We will then take those plans to God on Friday night. And then on Saturday, we'll look at what did God say on Friday? Let's clean up these plans and let's prepare you for your visibility strategy for 2025. I am
I love
it. It was a pull and a push, okay? And my team was like, we got to do it. But I want people to understand what I found is there's so many people that want the media, but their brands really aren't prepared for it. And I want a resource to help you do that. So I'm excited. I said I was going to wait until you were on to release it to people because you made me feel comfortable. I appreciate it. And so the link will be on our website. You'll click our website and you'll be able to see all the details for the intensive and Pour. And over the next couple months, we'll be releasing more information on it. But stay tuned. What I want you to do is save those dates right now. Okay. So Ms. Cheryl, I thank you for your yes. I thank you for your pour. And as we close out, I want everybody to have an amazing October. We're in the 4th quarter. Let's get it. Let's go. Like Apostle Latanya, I got to get used to saying that now. Apostle, she always says, let's get it, let's go, let's ride. And I told her, I said, I'm going to use it and I'm going to quote you every time. But I love that, guys. Let's get it, let's go, let's ride. All right. Happy October. We'll talk to you guys soon.